Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back to Client Side Chats. Today we have a returning special guest, Grace Marin. And Grace, as you will recall, is the owner proprietor of PX Coaching. So she's going to continue her series about leadership and all the different things that she does very well. By the way, just so you know, Grace is also becoming an author. So pay attention to that. But hi, Grace. How you doing? Welcome.
Hey James, how are you? Good to see you again.
Same here, same here. Now, I know we were talking a little bit offline about the book, and that sounds very interesting. And this is your first book to do, but it sounds like it's coming along well, especially with the editor. So I really look forward to it being published. And quite honestly, I really would like to read it. It sounds very unique with
Mm,
the topics that you're going to be discussing. But I know today you want to talk about having those difficult conversations, correct? Because last
yeah.
time we met, we talked about leadership.
Mhm,
So, share with us what your thoughts are with this, because I know you do this coaching for people in very difficult situations, as
mhm,
well as people in the executive or the C suite of
mhm.
organizations as well.
Yeah, so thank you. I have to say leadership and communication are hand in hand. You can't really have a great leader unless that leader knows how to communicate with kindness and also with directness. And it direct does not equal mean either. You can still have a cordial conversation with clarity about the expectations. And so today, very briefly, I'd like to just go over a few steps just to make it a little easy to deconstruct a conversation that may be hard to have. And all of
Okay.
us struggle with tough relationships or conversations. And by the way, you don't just have to use this at work, use it with your family. I practiced it with my family and they didn't even know they were my guinea pigs, just so that I can get my words out. Because when we get nervous, we end up saying the wrong things. In fact, the opposite of what we really want to say.
Yeah.
So I just want to be clear about two types of feedback today. One's called reinforcing feedback, and another thing is called a constructive feedback. So, reinforcing feedback is saying something, identifying a behavior you love that you want that person to continue. Research shows that when we notice behaviors that we want to continue, they will continue those behaviors. Yet, if we don't say anything, people are like, well, no one cares whether I do it or not. So they'll be inconsistent. So if we want consistent, excellent behavior in the workplace, whether it's attitude, whether it's the way people relate to one another, play well in the sandbox together, so many different examples. And then that constructive feedback obviously is when there's a behavior that you don't want, that you want to bring to your employees' attention and or to a colleague's attention or a family member's attention that helps them to know their blind spot. It's kind of like our cars, they have blind spots to kind of tell us we're too close to the shoulder or a car is coming to the side. And really, feedback is a gift and it's a loving thing to say something to someone versus having it blow up in their face. It's really protecting them by showing them to steer them in the right direction. And so, the steps that I like to just share is first, have that conversation in a timely way. Don't wait a week, a month. Try and have it within 24 hours so that person has recollection and you have recollection of the details. Be specific about what it is you saw and when you saw it. So you can say, yesterday by the water cooler, I noticed. So that is very specific, timely, and be very behavior focused. This is not about doing a character assassination on anyone. That's not the point. We're talking about behaviors here that separates from the person. And that's something that's really a very important piece that sometimes we don't do well because we've not been taught how to separate the behavior from the person. And also explain the impact of that behavior on you, on the department, on the organization, how it may be the opposite of the organizational vision, mission, and values. And then end with something positive so that person can save face and feel like they weren't completely shredded and that they can go back to work feeling encouraged that they have a second chance instead of, uh-oh, I'm going to get fired today.
Yeah. And that's
Mhm.
very good stuff. And I have to tell you a couple of things here with regard to it. One, when you were talking about reinforcing feedback, I always think of the Gallup emotional economy
Mhm.
survey that they do around the world once every 2 years, I believe it comes out. And consistently in relating that to safety, they find that when people are reinforced with positive behaviors, what they've done, those kinds of things, even those that, as we were talking offline about, that continually perform at a high level, they
Mhm.
are very important that they get that positive feedback because what we find is they tend to be and maintain that high performance. In fact, you end up getting the whole group becoming much more high performing, and
Mhm.
it works from a safety standpoint because obviously we're all about safety.
Mhm.
And from that standpoint, the people who are more reinforced with positive behavior tend to work more safely, tend to work more efficiently, and are more effective in keeping customers
Right.
going through that process.
Yeah.
The second thing about the constructive feedback, yeah, one of the things I have found, I have to agree with what you have to say, which is it is very difficult, and I've had those difficult conversations over many many years, and I never feel like any one of them ever goes right, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
one thing I also find is making sure that you plan the time to be
Mhm.
able to have that conversation.
Mhm.
You're very right in ending with something that's positive. I mean, the whole idea is not to do the character assassination as you brought out.
Mhm.
That's not what this is about.
No,
So, yeah,
no.
very well said, very well said in a nutshell. And I
Mhm.
know for people who are following this from our safety standpoint, that works very well with
Mhm.
reinforcing better safe practices.
Yeah.
That really does have a very good outcome. And it can
Mhm.
also be a very good outcome with your organizational leaders, correct?
Yes, and something I didn't say, but
Mhm.
last talk we talked about the financial impacts of leadership, and I have to tell you that when we don't do reinforcing feedback for our A+ employees, if you will,
Yep.
we lose a ton of money trying to train people, and so that constant revolving door of employees really does not help. I mean, so much money is, or so much attention is about earning income, but we're not really thinking about the hemorrhage that's going on the back end when we're losing people, good people. You're not, I mean, it's kind of
Right.
okay, I guess, if you want to lose some folks who aren't really, rowing in the same direction. And that's another thing as a leader, we need to identify those poor performers and have those conversations and have them be gently moved to their happier place, not in your organization, because what that does is it disheartens the high performers because then they're like, well, if what I do doesn't really matter and those low performers still get paid the same as I do, then why should I bust my butt to work that hard?
Right.
There's all kinds of interlinking points for
Right.
any organization's health and safety, just overall brand and imaging. You
Yeah.
want the best of the best in your company.
Yeah. Agreed. And sometimes you got to bring that out as a leader. And these
Yeah.
kinds of conversations really do that. So, all
Yes.
right, Grace. Hey, thanks for being on with us today. Look forward to having you again. As you know, we're going to make you a regular monthly feature. So I look forward to continuing these discussions.
Mhm.
And all right, be
Thank
safe
you.
there in New York.
Thanks. Bye, James.
Okay, take care. Bye.